They told us the formula was simple. Go to school, get a stable job, save your money, avoid debt, buy a home when you're ready, and retire at 65. But here's the truth. That formula is broken. In today's economy, if you follow the old financial rules, you don't get ahead. You'll just become average. I became a millionaire by 30 because I broke these exact five rules that we're all taught to follow. And here's the wild part. Rule number five is the one that completely changed my financial life, and almost nobody talks about it. So stick with me until the end because this will rewire how you think about money. Rule number one, save your way to wealth. They told us a penny saved is a penny earned, but it's still a damn penny. Our parents meant well, but saving alone isn't going to make you wealthy anymore. Inflation is eating your cash faster than you can stack it. A savings account today is basically a storage unit, not a growth engine. For most millennials, wages have barely moved, but rent and home prices and groceries have skyrocketed. And saving your way out of that, impossible. Saving is for safety, which is important, but there's a time and place for everything. Investing is what builds wealth. Your money needs velocity. Money sitting still just dies. Money working multiplies. Stop focusing on cutting the $5 lattes. Focus on increasing your income and your investment returns. That's how millennial wealth is built today. Rule number two, avoid all debt. Traditional advice treats debt like the devil. But here's the truth. Debt is a tool. Debt is a chainsaw. Yes, you can cut your leg off, but you can also build a house. There's bad debt, credit cards, consumer spending, car loans, financing, lifestyle. That debt keeps you poor. But then there's good debt, such as debt that buys you assets, like real estate. I use debt to buy properties that pays me every single month. I know if you follow Dave Ramsey, then that's completely against the rule. And I learned a lot from him. But when it comes to buying investment properties cash, that's great if you're able to do it. But for my first property, I saved up to 20% and used debt. If I waited until I saved up $175,000 to buy my first rental, it would have taken me years, and I would end up paying more for the property by the time that I saved up the amount. Probably more in the 250-ish range, and I would have only cash flowed an additional $1,000 a month versus with leverage, I was able to accrue up to 23 doors and make over $100,000 a year from rentals. Yes, there's risk, and certainly there's times as well where I've had tenants not pay and I had to eat the mortgage. But that's part of the risk as landlord. No risk, no reward. I just try to minimize the risk the best as I can. And let's just say if that was to happen in a situation where you had a paid off house and the tenant decides to stop paying, it's still the same thing. You're losing money. You're just not having to pay the mortgage, but you're losing money. So my other rentals help balance it out when things like that happen. For me, it makes more sense to use leverage and just deleverage as you want less risk. Poor people use debt to buy liabilities, and wealthy people use debt to buy assets. This one mindset shift changed everything for me. Rule number three, buy a house when you're ready. They told us to wait until we had the perfect job, the perfect spouse, the perfect savings, the perfect rate, the perfect timing, the perfect location. But here's the real millennial experience. If you wait until you're ready, you may never be able to afford a home. If I had waited until I was ready, I'd still be renting. Mentally, I would have never been ready as it would have always seemed so scary having all these responsibilities as a homeowner. And financially, it would have taken me much longer to save for a 20% down for a down payment versus a 3 to 5% loan option you have nowadays, especially if I had to do a 15-year mortgage. And some people search for the perfect house, but the reality is this is just your first home. Shouldn't be your dream home as most people move from their first home purchase within 5 to 10 years. That equity built from the first purchase ends up being a larger down payment towards their next purchase in most cases. That's happened to me, and I highly recommend house hacking for your first purchase as it will allow you to lower your biggest expense, which is housing. And if you can eliminate it entirely by house hacking, then that's phenomenal. If you can't get a multifamily for whatever the reason is, just get a single family and rent it out, a room or two. But I highly recommend, starting off with the multifamily, doing the 4-3-2-1 method, where you first start off with a fourplex, and then a year later buy a threeplex, move into that one, rent out the fourplex entirely, and now that fourplex is cash flowing and helping you pay your threeplex as well that you're also house hacking. And then a year later, repeat the same thing, but move into a duplex and do the same thing until you're eventually in a single family home that is all paid for by the rentals that you leveraged using an owner-occupied loan, which is typically lower in rate. And as well, you can come to the table with a lot less down payment, so you can have better leverage. Rule number 4, stick to one job and climb the ladder. This was great advice in the 80s, 90s maybe, but today it's dangerous. One income stream in 2025 is basically 0 income streams. If you get laid off, your whole financial life collapses. And guess what? Millennials are learning that the hard way today. Loyalty doesn't equal security anymore. I didn't build wealth from one job. I built wealth from multiple streams. W-2 and side hustles, to eventually where my side hustle turned into my main hustle, which is real estate. I flip houses, I rent houses, and then as well also invest in index funds that gives me dividends. You don't need 7 income streams or anything crazy like that, but you just need more than one. The average millionaire has several income sources, but here's the thing. You only need one extra income stream to completely change your trajectory. And for me, that was real estate, and it could be something else completely different for you. Rule number 5, retire at 65. And this is the biggest lie that we were told. The idea of grinding for 40 plus years, only enjoying life when your knees hurt, doesn't make sense anymore. I didn't aim for retirement. I aimed for freedom. You build assets so you have choices later. The goal isn't to stop working, it's to stop being forced to work. Why wait until your knees hurt to enjoy life? I've always aimed to retire early. I'm aiming for 35 right now, so this way I can enjoy life. And this made me aggressively invest versus just getting by, slowly investing, waiting on that magic 65 number for the pension. For me, becoming financially independent early wasn't about money. It was about having the freedom to spend time with my daughter, my wife, my family, and to control my schedule, not have it control me. This rule is the one thing that changed everything. Once you stop thinking in terms of retirement at 65, you'll realize you don't have as much time as you think. And you start building a life that you actually want and you get to enjoy while you're young, not when you're 65 and your knees are hurting. These old financial rules were written for a different economy. If you follow them today, you just stay average. And if you break them, you'll get ahead. But breaking rules is just a start. You also need the right habits. I made a full video breakdown of the 5 money habits that separate the rich from the poor. And it ties directly into everything we talked about today. Watch the video next and it will connect the dots for you. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and comment down below. I want to know the one old rule that you've been following that you're deciding to break today. And as well, please consider subscribing. This let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. I've got about 97% of you that are watching this that are newer but have not subscribed. So please do me that solid and hit that subscribe button. Thanks and have a good one.